Hey, yo, what is up, everybody? Good morning and happy Wednesday. We are making the turn on this week. Appreciate you making us a part of your start. If you are already up and at it, whether you are listening on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online at our website, sportstalk1051.com. You've got your Alexa devices. You've got your app. Trying to download the app and take it to go. Brain fart already here this morning. Got the video stream also up and rolling here this morning on YouTube. So make sure you ring that bell and follow it up over there. Don't forget to follow on Facebook too. Just look me up. Kasper with a K. That's the big thing, K. All right, it's over there. But anyways, if you're already up and at it, big thanks for making us a part of your starts on this July 15th. Another hot one coming your way. We are going to do a little bit of a different theme for the next few hours. Now, we know this is kind of the dead time in the sports calendar, right? I mean, we had the All-Star game last night, American League, picking up a 4-0 victory. National League only collecting 3 hits in the game last night. So Cody Bellinger picking up the All-Star game MVP, but 15 Ks? Was it 15 Ks? Combined for the American League pitching staff. So 12 Ks. Yeah, 15 Ks. Sorry, I was looking at the National League there. 15 Ks. So we got that. Still, no regular season games and such here. We did have the World Cup where Spain defeated France last night. Express also picked up a 12-0 win, so shout out to the Express. So, but a little bit of a quiet time. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of a different theme for this program, for today. We are going to do what I am going to call a Wisconsin sports State of the Union theme. All right, so we are going to take a look at the Brewers, the Packers, the Bucks, and collectively the Badgers here, all right, on the college side of things. We'll just say college. All right, we'll kind of lump all. Heck, you want to throw a little Blue Goals in there too? We could throw a little Blue Goals in there as well. All right. We'll just collectively do a Wisconsin sports State of the Union type of theme here. Looking obviously at the Brewer season currently and looking ahead to, the final stretch run here. So kind of, maybe trade deadline theme, all that stuff. And then Packers wise, obviously we're getting set for their upcoming season, taking a look at that. Bucks wise, it's been a lot of changes so far. So we can go about this a few different ways, for example, for Brewers, when we look at this, all right, is the offense good enough to go up against postseason pitching? Do you trust maybe the bullpen or the Brewers' young pitching staff when it comes to the postseason? Do they need to make those moves? What about, Pat Murphy? It's kind of a State of the Union. Pat Murphy looking at his tenure here as Brewers manager over the last couple of years. What do you think has been the biggest difference outside of wins that Pat Murphy has brought to this ball club, maybe compared to Craig Counsell? What has been the biggest change or the biggest difference? Do you feel this is, and honestly, I understand we probably have said this a few times over the last few years, but where's your confidence level in this team? Do you feel like this is the team right now that can get over the hump and get to the World Series for the first time since '82? Packers-wise, when you look at this group, are the Packers closer to being a Super Bowl contender, or do you feel like they're just maybe a really good regular season team when you look at this roster? Is this the year that, maybe it's not just about making the playoffs, they'll advance to that Super Bowl? Obviously, Jordan Love is always a hot button topic for some peeps. What do the Packers have to do this year, in your opinion, to maybe get over the hump? Talk a little bit about Matt LaFleur. I mean, there's a lot, as we kind of get set here for this upcoming Packers season. And then you got the Bucs. I mean, where do we go from here, right? What does this next chapter look like? Did Milwaukee, in your opinion, maximize the Giannis era? Do you have confidence going forward? Do you like the plan going forward? Can the Bucs rebuild quickly? Or, in your opinion, do you think we're entering a long reset, rebuild, whatever R word you want to use? And how would you judge? How would you assess certain decisions from the front office? And then, I mean, from a Badger standpoint or from a college standpoint, we got a new athletic director. All right, do you like the direction that they're going? Now that kind of the dust has settled and we've gotten to hear from Sean Eichhorst a little bit. Obviously has a ton of experience in the athletic administration department and being an athletic director, coming over from Texas here too. But do you feel better about the direction in maybe terms of NIL, player retention? Do you feel worse? Do you not know? With this upcoming football season, I kind of like how Brandon approached it on Friday when it comes to this Badger football season. So it's kind of exciting because, it's going to be kind of just a two-way thing. One, if it's going to be really bad, then it's going to be a change, probably most likely coming up with a new head coach. Or maybe finally talent, health will kick in and this team wins enough and becomes bowl eligible. Doesn't feel like there's any middle ground with this thing. Basketball-wise, Badger basketball, Greg Gard. You look at this team last few years. All right, wins a bunch of games in the regular season, but short exits in the tournament. Heck, you want to throw Marquette in here? You throw other one? Absolutely, let's do this. And for each team, so I'm giving you a lot. I'm going to throw a lot at you. But if we throw out like one thing that Wisconsin fans should believe for their favorite Scotty teams, what would that be? Like, for example, Brewers, I believe the window is now. The window is open right now. For the Packers, I believe that Jordan Love is the guy. Just throwing out examples, okay? What's the one thing for each team that you truly believe? And then on the flip side, what's something that keeps you up at night? So, like for the Brewers, can they hit in October? Can the Packers advance throughout the playoffs? What is the Bucs' identity? Can Badger football become bowl eligible? What is one thing for your favorite Wisconsin sports teams that keeps you up at night? The one question, the one thought that you're tossing and turning like, God darn it. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't feel good about this. And then finally, who do you think is the closest? It's probably only two, let's be real here, but maybe closest to bringing home a championship. Probably between Brewers and Packers, unless somebody can make another case if we look at the Big Four. But since it is also a Wednesday, it is a What If Wednesday, so I'm recruiting all of you. You guys and gals have been doing a really good job with some what if questions, what if scenarios to throw out there. So hit me up. All right, hit me up with some what ifs. Shoot on over via that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line with a quick text, 715-830-1912. Or hit us up on the Section 105 chat room. Also, it is a Wednesday, it is a What Are We Doing Here Wednesday. So what's like that sports story or something out there in the sports world where you're just like, it makes you go, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? All right? Send them on over. All right. Shall we do this? Let's begin the Wisconsin Sports State of the Union. We will start it off, since we are in baseball season, we're going to start it off with the Brewers. All right, State of the Union surrounding the Milwaukee Brewers. Let's jump right into it. We'll take our first break, and then we'll get things rocking and rolling. I need your participation this morning, okay? Let's hear from you. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Today is the day. Happy 715 Day, everybody. And if you want to help celebrate 715 Day, because, well, for a lot of us, that's our area code, right? So you can head on over to 715 Day Celebration at the Brewing Project. Brewing Project starting tonight at 5 p.m. Food trucks, fun, music, games, stuff to win, all that good stuff. We got to give a shout out to our partners out there for 715 Day. That includes Country Jam, Chippewa Valley Airport, Timber Technology, Walsworth, Anders Landscaping, Schwanke Services, Cinder Exteriors, Blue Hills Vineyard and Winery, Stanley Tire Center, Wisconsin Milkwood Alliance, Quality Exteriors, Fortis Direct Primary Care, Tommy's Express Car Wash, the Pablo Center, Ashley for the Arts, Polar Tool and Supply, L3 Landscaping, Bullseye Auto, the Mabel Tainer, Claflin Construction, Country Jam, Chippewa Valley Airport, and Revival Records. So again, happy 715 Day, peeps. And if you want to join in on the celebration that is going on tonight at the Brewing Project at 5 p.m. Okay, let's get going here on our Wisconsin Sports State of the Union. Let's do this up. All right. We will begin our Wisconsin Sports State of the Union with the Milwaukee Brewers because, well, we are in Brewers season right now. They are in their all-star break, so it's a good time to kind of take a look at how the season has progressed, looking for towards the end of the regular season, and just kind of maybe looking back at the last couple of years and into the future here. How you feeling? Where's your I guess level of satisfaction, your comfort level, how good you just feel, your overall feelings of the franchise. And I'll just start off by saying I feel pretty good about this Brewers squad. I feel pretty good about this Brewers franchise. I mean, you look at the last couple of years, ever since Pat Murphy has become manager of this ball club, the feeling's been different. They've won a lot of games. They've superseded expectations, maybe more so from a national perspective, but I think it's also fair to say that this Brewers franchise has exceeded even Brewers fans' expectations over the last couple of years, and they're currently doing it again. Maybe a lot of us just kind of learned to not overlook the Brewers, but hey, they're still, they're on pace to set a franchise record in wins. Not a lot of people pick that. Matt Arnold, Pat Murphy, as long as they are leading the charge for this team, I feel good. I feel it's like a cozy blanket in the middle of winter. You wrap yourself up in a little Snuggie, and knowing that those two guys are leading the charge for the Brewers, I feel good about it. Mark Anasio, okay, yeah, we would all love to see the ownership spend some more money. We would love it. We would love to have owners with deep pockets, okay? I get that. I understand that. But from a front office and a managerial standpoint, coaching staff standpoint, Chris Hook, Jim Henderson, the pitching lab, there's a lot to like. And I feel good about this franchise. I feel comfortable with this franchise. I don't feel like we are anywhere close to being, a Rockies type of organization where bottom feeders here for a little bit, or even the Angels right now. I don't feel that way, and I don't feel that that's going to be the way for the Brewers for the foreseeable future. This is going to be a franchise that is going to continue to compete for division championships and getting into the postseason. The one thing I think we could all agree, or a majority of us could all agree, is, okay, have expectations changed now for the Brewers? It's because for me, it's not enough to just make the postseason. I don't want to sound like an entitled, spoiled sports fan. I don't want to come off that way, because I'm incredibly grateful and happy as a Brewers fan to see my ball club over the last how many years now make the postseason after growing up as a kid in the 90s and early 2000s, in my, upper teen years, early 20s, and not experiencing postseason play. So I don't want to come off sounding entitled, spoiled. I don't. But I think it's fair to say, okay, expectations change. It's not enough anymore to just make the postseason. I don't think there's anything wrong with that from a sports perspective, because we want to see our teams win championships. That's why we cheer for our teams, right? I mean, that's if it's not the top thing, it's near the top. We want to see our teams be the last team standing. There's only one team that could call themselves champions after every single year. And that's what we as sports fans hope for. So, I was one of those fans in 2008 when the Brewers made the postseason. I was ecstatic, and I was just happy to be there because I'd never experienced it before. But now we've done it quite a bit, more so than a lot of other teams. But the one thing that the Brewers have fallen just a bit short of is getting to that World Series and competing for a World Series championship. That has to be the goal at hand right now. It's not just winning the NL Central Division. It's not just making the postseason and being satisfied with making the postseason. This is now where this Brewers team has to figure out, okay, what is it going to take to get us over the hump and into the World Series representing the National League? Right now, you've got a team that has the second best record in all of Major League Baseball. The only team that is higher than them is the Dodgers, and that is the team that is kind of standing in the way of, the Brewers maybe getting to that pinnacle. I would not overlook the Braves. I would not overlook the Phillies, and I don't necessarily want to discount them, and I'm not trying to, but we saw last year. I mean, it's been the Dodgers that have kind of stopped the Brewers recently here from going to the World Series, whether it was 18. You look at last year's postseason. It's been the Dodgers. It's been the Dodgers for a lot of teams. But I look at the current state of this season for Major League Baseball, and I look at a lot of these teams, and I'm looking at the American League here, and I ask myself, does any team in the American League scare me as a Brewers fan? And right now, I would say no. I don't. I'm not scared of the Yankees. No offense to Tampa Bay, but they got some good young talent. They're going to be a good team, but I wouldn't pick an American League team on July 15th over the Brewers right now. I wouldn't. And when I look at the National League, I'm looking at the Dodgers. And I think this is an opportunity for the Brewers to strike. This is a heck of an opportunity. If the Brewers can get through that National League, I feel pretty good about them in the World Series. I feel pretty darn good. I know I'm getting way ahead of myself, but hey, it's the State of the Union. We can have fun with that. And we can have fun envisioning that. But now you have to look at this squad and say, okay, what's it going to take for us to get over the hump? Health is always going to be number one, and that's something that you can't really forecast. However, maybe you can counter that by, all right, we don't know if guys are going to be healthy, this, that, and the other thing, but maybe we can improve our depth and just have a better backup option, or just improve some of our bench options, or whatever it may be. Just have those options. You look at this squad. Okay, do we need another starter? Do we need another veteran starter? Do we need some more bullpen help? Do we need another bat? Those are the questions that Matt Arnold, Pat Murphy, Mark Anasio, this entire ball club has to answer. Because right now, that window is open. Championship window is open. Getting to the World Series is open. It is in front of them. They control, the Brewers right now, they control their destiny. They control their destiny in terms of the NL Central. They're on top by 5 games. Everybody's chasing them. They're the chasee. They're not the chaser. They're chasing the Dodgers right now, but they got a heck of a path and a heck of an opportunity in front of them. And it's not to say that, okay, trading for this player or making these moves is automatically a given. But I think you can make the argument that, okay, but maybe it improves your chances, or maybe you feel just a little bit better. Man, if they added another starter and a bullpen and a bat, I'd feel just a little bit better. I don't think that's that. I don't think if you feel that way, I don't think you're off by any means. But it's a big unknown whether they're going to do that or not. And honestly, right now, I feel like the one move that they're going to make is maybe adding a bullpen arm, maybe a couple of them. They're not going to be big names. And I think part of that is because the Brewers have complete faith in their pitching coordination, their pitching lab, and their pitching coaches to get the most out of these guys that they bring in, and maybe, even just a little bit more. But right now, my current state of where this Brewers team is at, where this Brewers franchise is at, I think if you look at it, whether it's the last couple of years and looking into the future, there's a lot to like, and you feel good about it. I want to talk more about this. Got to take a quick break, though. More State of the Union when it comes to the Milwaukee Brewers coming up after these quick words. The Kasper Classic is just a couple of weeks away, and we only have a couple more spots up there unless you want to go early with the Surveyor flight at 7:30. Then we got a few more open up there, but just one more for 10 a.m. and a couple more for 1 p.m. So you want to get your two-person team signed up, head to sportstalk1051.com. You'll see the icon there, or you could go to 715store.com and do the same thing for just $90. All right, just $90. You can get your two-person team in. That's 90 per team, not 90 per person. Includes a free meal, a couple beverage tickets, your 9 holes of golf, and your carts at Lake Hallie Golf Course. So that's coming up here very quick. We want to thank some of our partners, presenting sponsor Window World, also Muldoon's, Service Master, Park Ridge Distributing, Hy-Vee and Eau Claire, Edward Jones, Financial Advisor, Kelsey Nikolai, Do Dodge, Cambridge, VFW Post 305, Superior Auto Body, Myron Construction, Home Oasis, Residence Branding, Claflin Construction, Carpet City Flooring Center, and Economy Furniture. So if you are interested in becoming a whole sponsor and helping support Backyard Dreams, please reach out. I would love that, especially too if you are interested in maybe donating a raffle prize, because 100% of the proceeds go to help fund Backyard Dreams. So we would absolutely would love to get some more raffle prizes so we can get some more money for Backyard Dreams and help out a bunch of kiddos in our area. But it's coming up Friday, August 7th, Kasper Classic. Okay, let's continue our State of the Union for the Brewers here. We'll get to the Packers coming up a little bit later on, Badgers and Bucks and such. But looking a little bit ahead, kind of ahead, but recent here too with the Brewers. They have decided this year to invest in their future, signing Cooper Pratt to a long-term extension. He was just, within the last month or so, added to the Major League roster. Same with Luis Lara. A couple of years ago, they did this with Jackson Chourio. We don't know what Major League Baseball is going to look like next year or in the foreseeable future because of the upcoming collective bargaining agreement between the Players Association and Major League Baseball. There's a lot of unknowns. I don't think we will have a salary cap. Could we have an apron? Could we have a floor? Those are all options out there. So it is really hard to kind of assess, figure out, envision what rosters are going to look like, what teams are going to do for, spending money, et cetera, et cetera. I do like the Brewers' approach in locking up some of their younger players to these longer-term deals. Do they come with risks from the player? Risks from the team? 100%. What if Cooper Pratt never pans out? What if Luis Lara never pans out? Brewers are going to be on the hook for paying them a decent amount. It's not a ton, but they'll be on the hook for paying them a decent amount. When you look at the contracts, they've also protected themselves because there are incentives in there, and that helps the player too. For some people, like, wow, man, the player should have betted on themselves and, maybe played it out and would get a boatload more cash. That's fair. Player took security. But there's also incentives within these contracts. So if the players hit those or escalators and they hit those, they'll get a little bit more cash. We could debate that, whether, players should do that, players shouldn't do that, teams should do this, teams shouldn't do that. But regardless, there's risk, but there is also reward, right? There's reward for these teams like the Brewers, where if they get the most out of these players and they reach their potential that these teams feel like they can, well, then maybe they're getting by cheap with some of these players. That's the reward at hand. But I think for a Brewers team that we know is not going to spend as much as the Dodgers, they can't spend as much as the Dodgers. They can't spend as much as the Mets. This is the way to go about it. I'd rather go this way instead of maybe bringing in a veteran at the back end of their career, but it's going to command a little bit more money, and you're just kind of patching holes every couple of years, right? We've had those dudes where we've just like patched for a couple of years, like the Aramis Ramirez's or, Yasmani Grandals for a year. I'd rather try this approach. That way you have some continuity. You build some chemistry. And you have a little bit more potential. There's more room for growth for these players. So I like the approach. I like the mindset that Matt Arnold and the Brewers are kind of going with this. It's a risk. There's no question about it. But I think it's worth the risk right now. Instead of just putting your hands up in the air and saying, hey, we can't do this. We can't sign this guy because we don't have enough money. So we're just going to do this. We're going to hope and pray and cross their fingers. They're trying something. They're at least trying something. And, there's other guys on this. The Brewers have a fantastic farm system by many accounts, by the major accounts out there. It's the best one. They got depth. They know how to build. They know how to regroup that crop, if you will. And I think that also goes back to the discussion of, okay, is it time to trade? Is it time to dip into that savings account, which is your farm system, and maybe go get some players that can help you out right now? I use that analogy quite a bit because, I still do it. When we were younger, it's like, oh, man, you saved all that birthday money, right? Grandma gave you $20 for your birthday. You got, maybe 15 from Aunt Susie. Like, oh, man, what do I do with this? You go to the store and like, oh, man, but this is the most money I've ever had. I don't want to spend it. I'm worried to spend it, but, man, I really want that pack of cards or that toy. You got to come to a decision. And I think the Brewers are right now at this point. It's like, man, we've really saved, and it's like, oh, do we want to dip into that? Do we want to dip into that savings account? That's where they're at this point. They got the number one farm system, but I think that's also a part where you should have confidence within yourself, with your scouts, with your front office, that, okay, if we dip into that savings, if we dip into that farm system and we trade some of our prospects, we have the confidence that we're going to be able to rebuild it back up. Dodgers do, obviously. Dodgers trade from them, that system, and they keep building it back up. And I don't want them to completely deplete it. I don't want them to completely give up all their top prospects. But can you maybe afford to invest and spend a little bit with them? I think you can. Now, there's some untouchables. Going forward, since, again, we're doing a little bit of a state of the union here with the Brewers, I feel like there are some untouchables. I don't want to see them move on from Fisher. I don't want to see them include Jesus Mate in any of those. I mean, those are the two right at the top that I don't want them to put together any trade packages with. Those would be untouchables. But to kind of sum up the Brewers portion of our State of the Union sports-wise, I think, I feel good about the now and the future for the Brewers. I think they are in a position to be successful for the next few years. The question is it good enough to get to the ultimate goal? I think we all feel good about the franchise, the team being a perennial playoff contender, a perennial division contender. I think we feel good about that. I know I feel good about that. I feel good about that for now, and I'm going to continue to feel good about that for the foreseeable future, as long as Matt Arnold is still there and as long as Pat Murphy is still there. I feel confident in that. The unknown in this thing, and this is something that, I don't know if what the plan's going to be for the Brewers or what their decisions are going to be. But the big unknown is, can they get to that World Series? Do you feel confident in that? Do you feel good in that? And I think for the Brewers in this instance, too, one thing that they're going to have to decide for this year, if they want to be active in the trade market, do you mess with the chemistry a little bit? Do you mess with the flow a little bit? Or maybe you're not too concerned about that because they've got such a great clubhouse. They've got such a great leader in Pat Murphy that you kind of count on that. So I feel good about this team right now. I feel good about them in the future. I feel good about them being perennial playoff contenders, which, let's face it, a lot of fans for different teams would kill to have that feeling, would love to be able to feel like that. Go ask an Angels fan. Go ask a Rockies fan. Be like, oh, man, I wish we'd be contenders for the postseason every year or make the postseason as many times as the Brewers did have over the years. But I also think it's fair to say, okay, we've accomplished those. We've done that. We obviously have a good team. Let's take that next step. Let's take that next leap. Let's add another goal to this. And that goal is to get to a World Series and get to the World Series. And then that is the remaining question. Is the style that the Brewers put out there, whether it's, they score a bunch of runs and not hit home runs, is that a style that can win you a championship? Is that a style that can get you to the World Series? How the Brewers do things. Is that a way? Is that a path to the World Series? That's the unknown. And that's the biggest question surrounding this team going forward. It's a solid group. It's a solid team. It's a solid franchise. It's top, from the front office, the GM, to the manager, to the players. A lot of good things. It's just the lone question is that style good enough to get to the World Series? Because I feel like that's where a majority of fans are at right now. They want to see this team take that next step. Not sounding arrogant again, not sounding entitled, not trying to sound spoiled. But I think it's fair to say, let's compete at that next level. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back in a few minutes to wrap up the first hour. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Believe it or not, hunting season preparation starts right now, and there is no better place to gear up than Tilden Gun in Chippewa Falls. Whether you are looking to upgrade your deer rifle or pick up a new turkey shotgun or maybe add a dependable shotgun for traps, sporting clays, or target shooting, Tilden Gun has a wide selection of firearms from the brands that you know and trust. Their knowledgeable staff can help you find the perfect fit for your hunting style, experience level, and budget. Plus, you'll find ammunition, accessories, optics, and more to help you get the most out of every trip to the range or into the field. Don't wait until the season is right around the corner. Get prepared now and shoot with confidence later. Stop by Tilden Gun in Chippewa Falls and see why sportsmen and shooting enthusiasts throughout the Chippewa Valley trust Tilden Gun for all of their firearm needs. You can check them out online as well by going to tildengun.com. So we'll get to some more state of the union stuff here for the rest of our teams in the great state of Wisconsin. But I forgot to mention this for the Brewers. One question or one thing that keeps me up at night for the Brewers, and I want to do this for every team that we do. What's the one question that keeps you up at night when it comes to the Brewers? And I think it goes back to what we were just saying. The one question is, can they get past the Dodgers? Can they get through this National League? So I'm kind of combining both of them because the other part of this is, what's the one thing that you believe for each team? I believe that if the Brewers get to the World Series, they can win the World Series this year. Like, there is no American League team at this current point in time that would scare me if I'm the Brewers. I mean, they've already swept the Yankees. I know that means nothing when it comes to October. I get that. I understand that. But I look at some of those other teams currently, and that could change when we get to the fall. But right now on July 15th, I would pick the Brewers against these American League teams that would be in the postseason. So I believe that. I truly believe that. But the question that keeps me up at night when it comes to the Brewers is, can they even get through the National League playoffs? Can not just win a series again, but can they advance to this postseason? Is this team enough? Do they have enough to get through the National League? I think they have enough to beat the American League, but do they have enough to beat the National League? Do they have enough to beat the Dodgers? Don't overlook the Phillies. Braves are up there too. I feel they have enough to beat the Cubs. It's just, that's the thing that keeps me up. Can they hit in October? Is pitching going to be healthy enough in October? Can they win in October? That's what it comes down to. Can they win in October? Brewers will be back at it on Friday at home when they welcome the Marlins, who have been a nice surprise team so far this year. But All-Star game last night, you had the American League team pick up the W, 4-0. Pretty quiet night for the National League, at least in terms of offense. 3 total hits for the National League. And 35% of the scoring was already in the top of the first from the American League. So maybe I'd seen some people say kind of a boring All-Star game, not a lot of action. But maybe you appreciate some good pitching. I mean, both squads. You had the American League team, total of 15 Ks. Dylan Cease, first inning, 3 Ks. Fireball in there. But the National League, they struck out 12 batters themselves too. So it was about the pitching last night. Sanchez, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, gave up a couple walks, did have a couple strikeouts too. But yeah. Other than that, Contreras got in for an AB. That was about it. caught an inning too. So Mizorowski was there. They had a little fun with him, talking to him on the broadcast, and plenty of shots with him too. But obviously did not get in the game. So, but now we move on to the quote second half of the season. So, all right, shot clock's gonna cut me off, but feel free to participate. Answer those questions for me for the Brewers. Two things. What do you believe about this Brewers team? What's the one thing that you truly believe about this Brewers team? And what's one thing that keeps you up at night for the Brewers? And as we get set to do a little Packers one and college and Bucks, answer those questions for those teams too. What's the one thing that keeps you up at night? It's the question that keeps you up at night. Like, I don't know if they could do this. And then what's the one thing that you truly believe? Send them on over. All right. I want to hear from you. I want to get some participation points going. All right. We've got some news updates, but we'll be back in just a couple minutes to kick off the second hour. All right, second hour kicks off right now on this 715 day. Happy 715 day, peeps. Don't forget tonight, Brewing Project, 5 p.m. You can hang out at the Brewing Project for a little 715 day. Got food trucks, got some games, all that fun stuff going on for our 715 day party to honor the best area code in the union, right? Got to give a shout out to all of our partners again for 715 day celebration. Country Jam, Chippewa Valley Airport, Timber Technology, Walsworth, Anders Landscaping, Schwanke Services, Cinder Exteriors, Blue Hills Vineyard and Winery, Stanley Tire Center, Wisconsin Milkwood Alliance, WIMA, Wisconsin Milkwood Alliance, Quality Exteriors, Fortis Direct Primary Care, Tommy's Express Car Wash, the Pablo Center, Ashley for the Arts, Polar Tool and Supply, L3 Landscaping, Bullseye Auto, the Mabel Tanner, Claflin Construction, Country Jam, and Revival Records. So, also, don't forget, tomorrow is our Tailgate Thursday, the pregame to 40 at the Express game. All right, we're going to be set up around, let's say 4. I know game time is until like 6:35, but I mean, come on, tailgate, you got to be there a little early, right? So we'll be up around 4 o'clock at the set up at the Hake Aaron statue. We've got samples of their Legends beer. So got that. We'll have some prizes, some swag, some games, all that good stuff. And then get your tickets, all right? Get your tickets to the game. Let's pack Carson Park tomorrow night. You got an Express team that's played some really good baseball. Okay, they just blanked the Minnesota Mud Puppies last night, 12-0, and they play Minnesota again tomorrow night. A little border battle. So let's pack Carson Park tomorrow night. Get your game tickets, and let's make it a loud environment at Carson Park. So, yeah, you got a busy week. I know we got a lot of stuff going on. It's Country Jam. We've got Rock Fest. So lots of stuff. Okay, so first hour, if you're just joining in, we are doing a little bit of a State of the Union Wisconsin sports theme. So I'm taking a look at Brewers, Packers, Bucks, Badgers / college, all right, and just kind of doing a State of the Union, assessing where everything is at and with an eye towards the future. It's kind of the down week, on the sports calendar with the All-Star break and all that going on. So first hour, we hit up the Brewers. We hit up the Brewers. We're going to do Packers here a little bit later on this hour. And then we'll get to the Bucks, and then we'll get to the Badgers too. So, but there's a couple of questions that I want to throw out to get your opinion and your feedback on. And you can do all of them, or you can just do one of these teams, whatever. What is the one thing that you truly believe, when it comes to either the Brewers, Packers, Badgers, Bucks, all of them? And what is the one thing that keeps you up at night? What's the one thing that keeps you up at night? Hit me up. All right. Shoot it on over. 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Or hit me up in the Section 105 chat on the YouTube. C-Bomb says, Brewers, I truly believe they can play with anyone. The one question that keeps me up at night is their pitching depth. Will it be enough? Packers, I truly believe they are a playoff team. What keeps me up at night is what will the running back game look like, especially if something happens and Jacobs can't play. Keep those coming. All right. So before we get to a little Packers State of the Union, let's continue our Packers training camp countdown. Things to watch, stories to watch, players to watch, position battles to watch. And for today, I want to take a look at the wide receivers. I want to take a look at this group here because there's been, some movement this offseason when it comes to the Packers wide receivers, right? Romeo Doubs is gone. maybe Green Bay's most dependable receiver over the last couple of years, at least for Jordan Love. But Green Bay signed Jaden Reed to an extension. They signed Christian Watson to an extension. Matthew Golden is entering his second year, Savion Williams entering his second year. Sky Moore was signed in the offseason, probably more specifically for special teams for the return game. I think when you look at this wide receiving group, I like the group, okay? I like this group. I like the makeup of this group. Christian, let's start with Christian Watson. Christian Watson, I think, has all the tools to be a number one wide receiver. He is so important to this offense. When he's on the field and when he's off, it is a completely different offense. Big, fast, takes the top off, great blocker. I think underrated in that aspect of his game. His route tree, I think, is pretty darn solid. I know fans have question marks surrounding whether he can stay healthy or not. Okay, I know they have those questions. And, okay, I get it. I understand. He's dealt with hamstring injuries. He's dealt with, ACL. Last year, it seemed like he kind of turned that corner. Hopefully. Knock on wood. But when that guy is on, he is a special wide receiver. And I feel like you're going to see Christian Watson really make a name for himself across the NFL this year. Like, more than just Packers fans are going to know who Christian Watson is. He is a dude. I like Jaden Reed. I am so glad they were able to extend Jaden Reed. I didn't think they were going to. I didn't think that they would have maybe enough money. I think it's a bargain deal when they signed him. Was it the second day of the draft? This is a guy that, he's going to be slotted in as your slot receiver, but I think he could play outside. He could do everything at the line of scrimmage. I think he is an incredibly important piece to this offense. A multi-tool, a Swiss Army knife type of receiver. I like what Jaden Reed brings to the table. In terms of watching this group and when it gets to the training camp, when it gets to preseason, it's hard to, because last year Matthew Golden really impressed in training camp. When we talked with our guy Rob Domofsky last year, he mentioned, I don't even know if Matthew Golden really dropped the ball. I mean, he was catching everything, he was flashing, and then kind of non-existent in the regular season. I don't fault Matthew Golden for that, though. I fault that lack of opportunities, coaching, getting him in, and all that. So it's hard to say, oh, man, we got to watch Matthew Golden in training camp this year in preseason because, he's got to be better. Well, he flashed. It's just based off opportunities. So we're not going to really see that until we get to the regular season when it comes to Matthew Golden. But we are definitely looking for, okay, year two jump. And I think that comes more from just an increase in opportunities. But what I will be looking for, or what I will be watching when it comes to the Packers wide receivers in training camp, is outside the top three. Outside of Watson, Reed, and Matthew Golden. Savion Williams is such a popular pick for an X factor. For a guy to take that jump in his sophomore year. Because when you go back and you look at all the draft profiles about him, you'll hear a lot, or you'll read a lot from scouts, analysts out there that say, yeah, kind of a raw, to get him on the field right away. He's kind of a gadget player, running game, passing game, until he kind of develops and, kind of maybe gets his feet wet a little bit more. And you kind of saw Green Bay do that last year with him. Just a few plays here and there. Really got him involved in the running game early with some jet sweeps. Okay. Let's see the growth in year 2. Let's see the jump in year 2. I'm really curious to see what Savion Williams can bring to this group. Because if I'm looking at the depth chart right now, he's 4th. He's going to jump up to that 4th spot. And if he is this X factor, if he can do multiple different things, he's a bigger receiver, but if he can be involved in jet sweeps, if he can be involved in the passing game and all that good stuff, if he could be a gadget type player, whatever, however you want to describe it, I want to see how he's going to be utilized. Can we get a glimpse of that in training camp? And then Sky Moore. I'm not counting on Sky Moore to be an important piece to the passing game for the Packers. Maybe we'll be surprised, and I will welcome that surprise. Maybe he's going to have that breakout year. He didn't with Kansas City. He didn't with San Francisco. He has been more effective when it comes to the return game. But can Matt LaFleur find some opportunities? Maybe get some untapped potential out of there? I don't know. But I'd be curious to see what his role is going to be or how much opportunity, he really gets or impacts the offense during training camp preseason. Because I think it's between him and Bo Melton for that 5th wide receiver spot. And I could see Green Bay keeping 6 receivers right now. If I'm looking at this on July 15th, I could see them keeping 6 receivers, 4 locks: Watson, Reed, Matthew Golden, Savion Williams. Bo Melton is right, and then I think Bo Melton, the team loves him. He's got speed. He's made some plays. I think they keep him as the 5th receiver, and Sky Moore makes it as a 6th, specifically for punt returns, kick returns. I don't know how much more competition behind the wide receivers there's going to be. You got Will Shepard. You got Brendan Rice, the kid, the Jerry Rice's kid. Those maybe practice squad eligible guys. I don't see a lot of competition. To me, it's pretty cut and dry. You keep 6 receivers, and those are the 6. But what I want to watch mostly when it comes to training camp is Savion Williams. Preseason, Savion Williams. Can he continue to grow as a wide receiver? Can he continue to develop his route tree? Can he continue to develop into an all-around wide receiver? That's what I want to see. All right, we got to take a quick break. Back with plenty more, though, coming up after these few words. Summer is here, and that means it is the perfect time, the absolute perfect time to give your home a fresh new look with Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Whether you are updating a family room, finishing a basement, refreshing a bedroom, or maybe you're finally tackling that remodeling project you've been putting off for a while now, Carpet City Flooring Center has the flooring options you're looking for, from beautiful luxury vinyl planks to carpet tile and more. You'll find quality products and expert guidance every single step of the way. Their experienced team will help you find the right flooring to fit your style, your budget, and with professional installation available, hey, your project can be completed quickly and correctly. Make this summer the summer you transform your home. Just stop on in to Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire today and discover why so many area homeowners trust Carpet City Flooring Center for all of their flooring needs. And, too, with the hot weather going on, hey, new carpet, they help insulate your home so it stays a little bit cooler. All right, so if you got some old raggedy carpeting, it's time for an upgrade. So, again, don't forget, tomorrow night, it's our pregame to 40, our tailgate Thursday event with the Eau Claire Express. I'll be set up with our friends from Park Ridge, right by the Hank Aaron statue, around 4 o'clock. Game time is at 6:35. But stop by. We'll have some samples for some of their Legends beer. Plus, bring the kiddos because our friends from the Card Collecting Club, Brian's going to be over there, and he's going to be handing out some free sports cards to kiddos. So bring the family to the ballpark tomorrow night, July 16th, for the Express. Express last night picking up a 12-0 victory over the Minnesota Mud Puppies, and that's who they play tomorrow as well. Let's pack Carson Park and make that stadium loud for our tailgate Thursday. Again, we'll be there at about 4, so if you want to hang out for a little bit, we'll have some other prizes, some swag, and again, some beer tasting with their Legends beer and some cards for the kiddos tomorrow for our tailgate Thursday event. We'll continue to chat a little green and gold here this morning, some Packers, and obviously a topic for the last few days has been whether Jordan Love is a top 10 quarterback or not, depending on, some lists out there. I know the list that everybody is referencing is the ESPN list, where Jordan Love was between 10 and 13, according to Jeremy Fowler. It was really close, but Caleb Williams was listed at number 10. Jordan Love was listed at number 13. Joe, do you believe Jordan Love is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL right now?
I do. I do. And again, whenever you look at something like that, it's very subjective. And truly, if Green Bay doesn't choke in that playoff game, and I don't put that playoff game loss on Jordan Love. If you look at it strictly from a statistical perspective, Jordan Love and the Packers should have won that game. And I think that flips it for people. I think a lot of the national writers, it's what have you done for me lately? And I think that game kind of flipped it on its head, those rankings. And so, interesting though, when you look at PFF and you look at film evaluation, and I just did it right before we got on the air because I figured this might be a topic for ours. And I said to Gemini AI, I said, compile the list of I guess, verified or quantifiable rating services out there and give me the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. And it goes through, and again, it pulled from PFF. And so it said Josh Allen at number 1, Mahomes number 2, Joe Burrow number 3, Lamar Jackson 4, Matthew Stafford 5, Jordan Love 6. And so then they go into Justin Hebert, Drake May, Jared Goff, and Brock Purdy. And they've got guys who missed the cut like Dak Prescott and Caleb Williams. So it's so subjective when you look at that. And again, hopefully these types of off-season, this type of off-season fodder gives Jordan Love that chip on his shoulder that Aaron Rodgers used to play with. And I think to a certain extent Brett Favre did as well. So I've gone through this with a lot of people sitting on a bar stool. And most of the time, everyone is in agreement, even non-Packer fans. When you break down the NFL, that Jordan Love is a top 10 quarterback. But I go back to my original point. I think if that playoff game, Dan, is flipped on its head and the Packers win that game like they should have, I think people are looking at that differently. I think people probably rank Jordan Love higher and Caleb Williams a little bit lower. And again, I'm not saying anything negative about Caleb Williams when I say this. I'm just saying when you look at the total work of both of their games last year and the total picture, not that last playoff game, it's hard to say that Caleb Williams is a better quarterback than Jordan Love. And so, yeah, I think he's a top 10 quarterback. I think he has the potential this year to take a giant step. Again, something you and I talked about going into last year was completion percentage. Well, he had an all-time high. He also had an all-time high last year of touchdown to interception ratio. So, yeah, I think he's in that top 10 mix. I think the key for him and the Green Bay Packers is to make that deep run into the playoffs. So when it comes to the offseason, you're remembering that and not how the Packers laid an egg at the end of that Bear game.
Here's where I struggle with that playoff reasoning there, because then Justin Herbert hasn't won a playoff game. He's ranked higher. Dak Prescott's last win in the postseason was 2022. He's ranked much higher than Jordan Love, almost double on that list. That's where and I'm not saying that's for you, but I'm saying that for like the national peeps, if that's the reasoning, because then explain why Justin Herbert and Dak Prescott is up there. Part of me is just wondering, is the levels just so incredibly high for Jordan Love, because not only is he replacing Aaron Rodgers, he's replacing Brett Favre. Green Bay is not supposed to have 3 straight good quarterbacks because no other team has done that, has not been able to do that. And I wonder if there's part of it is that there's this belief that, okay, Jordan Love can't be good because Green Bay can't have found another good quarterback for the 3rd straight time.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Dan. I really do. When you look at Justin Herbert, that's somebody who I usually compare Love with. They were, I believe, drafted in the same year. And in this AI conglomeration that I put together this morning, they got Herbert ranked 7th. And so totally agree with you that it's an unfair narrative, but I also agree with you that I think there's a part of the national scope that looks at this and says, no, they're not going to be able to pull it off again. Jordan Love's not Aaron Rodgers. Jordan Love's not Brett Favre. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a very real narrative for people. And again, I think people look at the national media when they're asked these questions. Give us the top 10. I don't think they're sitting down and doing film study. I think they're taking a glance at the record and maybe looking at some stats. But, it's interesting, too, when you look at Jordan Love, and one of the things I want to bring up is the QBR. So when you look at those types of things, and when you look at, the metrics that PFF looks into, and for example, 3rd down for Jordan Love. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL last year. So it goes so much deeper than what I would call fantasy football stats and fantasy football fans. So when you look at the totality of the game, I still, and I've done this over and over again. And again, you know me, I was not a Jordan Love guy coming out of college. And I think the work that he's put in and the improvement that he's put in to become a top 10 quarterback, I think it's impressive. And again, I think you hit it on the head. I think the expectations of the national fan base or national media saying that, well, he's not Aaron Rodgers, he's not Brett Favre. Well, no, he's not. And I think really this whole Packer team, because you're seeing these rankings coming out now, and I'm seeing a lot of rankings where Matt LaFleur is on kind of a 2nd or 3rd tier coach type of a thing. So I think this Jordan Love conversation is truly a microcosm of where this Packer team is, because I think people looked at it, and again, a couple of years ago, they go to Dallas in the playoffs, and of course they just absolutely dominate that game, and then play San Francisco, and they really should have won that game. And so I think people looked at that and said, oh, this team is on the rise, this team is a window, this team is Super Bowl, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In the last 2 years, I think I think objectively you can say have been disappointments for the Green Bay Packers. And so I think when you look at all these things and you add it up and you look at the Jordan Love conversation, I think it's truly a microcosm of this Packer team. I think there's a lot of people at 1265, players and coaches, who have something to prove. And that's okay. I am A-okay with Jordan Love being ranked 13th and Caleb Williams being ranked 10th. I'm A-okay because, look, use that as motivation. Use that to take you to the next level. Prove them wrong. Mm-hmm. And so that, to me, I'm kind of excited about because I like being in this role. And, again, we're really going to see, I think, what Matt LaFleur is made of. You and I talked about a couple of weeks ago. Is Matt LaFleur, going to be more aggressive and let Jordan Love really carry things? And are they going to be able to step on teams' throats this year? And when they've got a team down, are they going to, and I'm getting into vernacular now, are you going to suffocate the life out of the other team? And so I think a lot of players and coaches, again, I think these rankings, I think it's going to say a lot about this football team this year and the character of this football team. The flip side of it is, Dan, as you look at it, and I saw in one of the other rankings that Edgerrin Cooper is ranked as a top 10 linebacker in the NFL by one of these rankings, off-season rankings. And so, again, make it happen on the field. Make them change their mind. And if Jordan Love goes out and balls out and throws for 30-plus touchdowns, under 10 interceptions, 65, 66% completion percentage, and Green Bay makes a run in the playoffs, I think he's going to quiet all of these naysayers, and the same with Matt LaFleur.
We've been kind of doing a State of the Union Wisconsin Sports Edition for today, since it's kind of the quiet week in the sports world. And two questions I've been throwing out there, whether it's for Brewers, Packers, Badgers, Bucks, etc., has been, what keeps you up at night when you think about your team or your favorite team, and what's one thing you truly believe about this team? So let me ask you that for the Packers. What is one thing that you truly believe about this 2026 Packers team, and maybe one thing that's really keeping you up at night, whether it's something that you're going to be paying attention to in training camp or preseason or just the regular season in general?
And you and I have had this conversation. I truly believe this football team is on the precipice, and I think that the folks at 1265 believe it as well. And I think it started last year with the Micah Parsons trade, and you don't give up that kind of draft capital. And again, Micah Parsons, very special player. So I'm not saying that he's not one of two or three guys in the NFL you make that trade for, but you don't make that trade if you don't feel like you're one player away. And this offseason, Green Bay kind of going out and getting a Zaire Franklin, getting a Sky Moore, and what I would say, not big headline types of moves. And so I think I truly believe that this team is ready to make that run. And when you look at one of the other rankings we talked about was, I believe, Green Bay 10th best roster in the NFL. And that puts them squarely in playoff and Super Bowl contention. So, I really do. I think talent-wise, it's there. And so I think this team is going to be better than they were the last couple of years, especially at finishing games. Flip side of that, it's the injury situation. It's the health of a Micah Parsons. It's the health of a Tucker Kraft. It's the health of a Christian Watson. Can he play a 14, 15, 16-game season? Can Tucker Kraft come back and be the X factor that he was starting to become? And again, Micah Parsons doesn't get hurt in that Bronco game. The back half of the year and that playoff game are completely different. Completely different, because he's a closer. So on one side, I truly believe that this team has the potential to be one of, let's say, 6 teams that legitimately have a shot at the Super Bowl, 6 or 7 maybe. But on the flip side, the injuries and the health of this team. And again, key guys coming back from major injuries, even Jaden Reed coming back from that injury. And again, I know that was more, that wasn't soft tissue, So that was a break. That was a collarbone break. But he also had the issues in the offseason leading into the year with ankle and that type of thing. And so, yeah, if Micah Parsons comes back and is not the player, if Tucker Kraft comes back and is not the player, if Christian Watson just can't stay on the field, that's going to put a big, big, big hole in the Packers' playoff hopes. And again, I think the margin of error with a lot of football teams between being great and being good is slim. And I think Micah Parsons tilts the field. And again, I go back to the acquisition of Reggie White. And I really do draw the parallel between Micah Parsons and Reggie White. Reggie White was the closer. I remember, it's ironic too, the game that Reggie White showed that he was the closer was against the Broncos. And it was at Lambeau Field. And Reggie really hadn't dominated up to that point. But John Elway driving down to potentially bring the Denver Broncos back, and Reggie closes them. And Micah Parsons was becoming that guy. And the ironic thing, of course, is his season is ruined against the Denver Broncos. And so that's the big thing for me is how are these guys going to come back? And they're not just guys. These are guys you need to count on. How are they going to come back? Are they going to be healthy? Are they going to be the same players, specifically Kraft, Watson, and Parsons? Because those guys tilt the field.
2 weeks from today, the Packers will have their first training camp of the season. Rookies report on the 27th, the veterans report on the 28th. So countdown to camp is already here. Joe, we appreciate the time this morning. Have a good rest of your week. Stay cool, and we'll catch up with you again next week.
Hey, I got to tell you, Dan, I am super excited what's coming up, too, because obviously 715 Day to Day, you talked about the Express game, but also Casper Classic coming up in a few weeks, my man. I am looking forward to it because with football season, the Casper Classic, it's all coming together. This is like that Christmas time that you just get excited. There's so much cool stuff happening, but good stuff on the horizon. Great talking to you today. Always appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. And, yeah, a lot of good stuff coming down the wire. So we're busy around here, but it's good stuff. Good time of the year. I love it. So we'll catch up soon, bud.
All right. Take care, Dan.
You got it. There you go. There's Joe DeGuano joining us here this morning. Hey, we got to take a quick break, and then I'm going to get into my State of the Union Packers edition. That's coming up after these few words. Summer road trips create some great memories, but you know what? Sometimes accidents do happen. If a fender bender puts a dent into your plans, just trust the peeps at Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire to get your vehicle looking like new again. Their experienced team provides quality collision repair and attention to detail that helps restore your vehicle and your peace of mind. When life bumps into your vehicle, you can count on the fine folks at Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire. I'm going to do a little bit of an audible because we're already 7:45. And I'm pretty sure my State of the Union for the Packers is going to go longer, considering we also have to take another break. So, that being said, I will do the State of the Union for the Packers in the next hour. So, I will do the State of the Union for the Bucks right now. State of the Union for the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's not kid ourselves, okay? It probably doesn't look great. That's why this one probably won't take so long to dissect or discuss. It doesn't look great. The Giannis being traded, I think it was time. I hate saying it as a fan. I wanted Giannis to stay for the Bucks. I wanted him to stay for the Bucks. I wanted him to play his whole career with the Milwaukee Bucks. I love everything about Giannis. Okay? Best player in franchise history. I think he still has a few more good years. I know he's gone through some injuries and he's been banged up, and he has definitely missed a lot of time. I am straight up just speaking from the heart here that I wanted Giannis to stay. Okay? I wanted Giannis to stay. But I get the decision from both sides. I truly, truly get it. But you look at, okay, you move on from him. You're still kind of hamstrung by a lot of contracts, a lot of bad contracts, some money in that. So it's going to be a little bit before this Bucks team is maybe a contender again. And here's I don't want to really drag this out. The state is not good. Okay, I don't have confidence in ownership because it's Jimmy Haslam. Now, they spend money, okay? They spend money more so than what Mark Anastasio does, but they also have deeper pockets with the Bucks. I don't trust Jimmy Haslam in terms of just letting basketball people do basketball stuff and make basketball decisions. I don't trust it. I don't think he can stay away from that. I mean, you look at, some of the decisions with the Browns and maybe some of the decisions already with the Bucks. You're like, oh, really? So I don't feel great about that. I have questions about John Horst, just because, we're entering a new stage, a new era, and he hasn't been really asked to, or he hasn't been tasked to build a team, to put together a young team. It's always been surrounding Giannis with talent and surrounding Giannis with pieces. So this is a little bit of a different path for John Horst. And you look at some of the draft picks, you look at some of the history surrounding some of his picks. It ain't great. It's not good. So it's a big unknown. That's what keeps me up at night. That's what keeps me up at night for the Bucks. I don't know if John Horst is the right general manager or is the general manager that can build this team from the ground up. Because this is a completely different path. The one thing I do believe for the Bucks is I do believe they got the coaching hire right with Taylor Jenkins. That one I believe. That one I feel good about. It's just head coach and players kind of go hand in hand. Is he going to have the right players? Is he going to have enough talented players to be able to win? That goes back to the John Horst question. things that have me intrigued a little bit is Braden Burries. I think so far, from what we have seen with him, and it's very, very, very early goings here. But Summer League, dude looks the part. I'm intrigued with some of the younger players. I'm intrigued with some of the rumors. Payne Watson, I'd love that addition. I don't know if that would be something that could transpire or will actually happen for the Bucs. But that is definitely a move that I can get on board with. But we just don't know yet. So, State of the Union for the Bucs. Let's be real, it ain't great. Right? It's not that great right now. Am I optimistic that it can change? Probably not right away. Probably not right away. I hope I'm wrong. And I hope we'll have a competitive Bucs team sooner rather than later. It's hard. Maybe I'm still going through the emotions with Giannis leaving and moving on. I just think this is going to be a rebuild that's going to last for a few years. It's going to last for a while. And there's so many questions because if we had seen evidence of John Horst drafting well and building with younger talent, okay, maybe I'd feel a little bit better. Like, okay, that's the general manager I have trust in. I believe he can do it. It's a different way now of putting together a team. It's not going out there and spending money and making big trades for proven players. You really got to put your scouting cap on now. And you got to build with some youth. I like that they're doing it this way. I will say that. I do like the fact that, okay, let's build up with draft capital. Let's build up with some younger players. Let's build some depth so we're not just so reliant on just a couple players. Let's build a team. I like that path. It seems like the path that they're going to go with, unless something changes where it's like, oh, hey, this guy's actually really good, so now we got to, surround him with a bunch of talent. Remains to be seen. But my state of the union, my outlook on this ball club for the immediate future is not great. And I'm hopeful, I think is probably the best way to describe it for the Bucs. I'm hopeful that in a couple of years, we're talking about, okay, this is something to be excited about. Maybe something similar to what like the Thunder were kind of going through. Or maybe even a little bit with the Spurs. Like, okay, there's talent here. They just need a little bit more seasoning on it. A little bit more experience. I'm hopeful. But there's a lot of questions I still have. All right, we got to take a quick break. I'm running a little behind here, so we got to do that before we hit halftime. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Summer cookout season is here, and nobody does summer grilling better than Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. From premium steaks and fresh burgers to brats and chicken, you will find quality and value throughout the store. Before your next cookout, stop by Mike's Star Market and stock up on the freshest ingredients around. You can visit them at 2238 Heimstead Road in Eau Claire. Make sure to follow their Facebook page as well. Mike's Star Market, helping you make every summer gathering a delicious one. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut me off in a minute and a half. We'll kick off the third hour, continuing our Wisconsin Sports State of the Union. We'll dive into the pack. The two questions I am throwing out there, if you're just joining us, for whatever team you want to pick, all right? You can pick whatever team you want to pick, but the two questions, or you can do all of them. What keeps you up at night? What's the one question that keeps you up at night for your favorite team? And what is the one thing that you truly believe? You truly believe. Like, I truly believe. For example, in the first hour when we did the Brewers, what keeps me up at night is, can they win in October? Is this a style that can win? What I truly believe, though, I truly believe in Matt Arnold, Pat Murphy. That's the stuff. All right, so hit me up. Shoot me up with a text, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Again, that number, 715-830-1912. Or you can join in on the Section 105 chat on Facebook, or on YouTube, excuse me. All right, 2 in, 2 more to go. We are at halftime. Quick break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. All right, here we go. The third hour kicks off right now. Thanks for making us a part of your start and joining us, whether you are listening on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, streaming us up online, sportstalk1051.com. You got the app. Download it, take it on the go. Of course, the video stream rolling to. Did I say video stream already? I don't know. You guys know the drill. So we are doing, since it's kind of the downtime of this week's usually kind of a downtime. All-Star week, a lot of stuff going on, or not a lot of stuff going on. So decided to flip it up here a little bit, change it up. And we're doing kind of a State of the Union. Wisconsin Sports Edition State of the Union. Taking a look at our Wisconsin teams and just assessing it. Looking where it's currently at, the future, going forward. First hour, we did Brewers. Did a quick Bucks one last hour. Let's go to the green and gold. All right, and before I get into it, again, a reminder, these are the two questions I'm throwing out there for you that I would love to get your feedback on. So please give me your input. And you can pick whatever team. You can pick all of them. 1, 4, I don't care. The one question that maybe keeps you up at night, or the one thing that keeps you up at night when you think about this team, when you think about your favorite team, and the one thing that you truly believe in like in the, let's keep it in the positive sense. Oh man, I believe in this player for this team or this whatever. Okay? Hit me up. Let me know. I want to get more of your input. So, let's continue our State of the Union, Wisconsin sports teams, and let's dive into the green and gold, the Packers. We are 2 weeks away. It is July 15th. We are 2 weeks away from the opening of training camp. When we look at this Packers team as of right now, we know things could change. Maybe they tinker a little bit with the roster. The roster is obviously going to be cut down. Maybe they add different players after roster cutdowns. Who knows? But right now, this is what we have to look at. I think when you look at this roster, I think it's a roster that is good enough to compete for a Super Bowl. Now, there's questions across. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to ignore that. There's definitely questions. Some of it is health related. How quickly can Micah Parsons come back? Will Micah Parsons still look the part of Micah Parsons? Tucker Kraft, same thing. Josh Jacobs' situation, is he going to be able to play or not with his legal stuff? Is that what's the latest on that? It's been pretty hush-hush and quiet. Is the offensive line going to play better? Are they going to be better? Are they going to be a top unit? Can they protect Jordan Love? Can they do better in run blocking? Defense, without Micah Parsons, are they going to be able to generate a pass rush? What about the corners? I think if this team hits on all of its potential, and that's the key word in this thing, the potential. And I know that's a very popular word in the sports world, is potential. But this is what I truly believe with this Packers team. I truly believe that if they hit on their potential, this is a championship caliber roster. So let's kind of break it down and go through this and such. I think, if we start State of the Union quarterback-wise, okay? I think for a football team to be successful, you have to have a good starting quarterback. And I know the Jordan Love debate has been hot this week. It's been all across the board. Is he a top 10 quarterback or not? Thanks to the ESPN top 10 rankings. To me, in my opinion, yes, he's top 10. Top 5? No, I would not put him top 5. I'd put him within top 10, though. Probably between 8 and 10. If I'm just going off the top of my head without thinking about it too hard. But I think he's a top 10 quarterback. But the main question should be not, is he a top 10, a top 5? The main question should be, is he a quarterback that can lead you to a championship? That's all I care about. I don't care if he's top 5. I don't care if he's top 3 or if he's the best quarterback in the league. I don't care. The only thing I care about is, can he lead me to a champion? Can he lead my team to a championship? Now, you could say, well, you have to be a top 5 or top 10 team to lead your team to a championship. Okay, I get what you're saying there. But you don't get awards. You don't get Lombardis. You don't get rings for statistically or just from experts saying you're top 5. I just want him. Is he good enough to be a championship caliber quarterback? And I think yes. Okay, got that. We're good. Next thing, we have a championship caliber quarterback. What do we need next? He needs help on the offense, right? What about the offensive line? It starts there. I don't care how much football has changed over the years. It is still in the trenches game. Offensive line, defensive line. And when I look at this offensive line for the Packers, it's an unknown for me. Zach Tom's great, but that's another guy coming back from an injury. Zach Tom is the most for sure thing on this offensive line, but he even has a little bit of a question mark. Jordan Morgan's a first-round pick, and he's going to get the crack to be the, showcase that, hey, I'm the long-term fixture at left tackle. He's been on the roster for a couple of years now as a rotation backup in playing guard. All right. It is time to answer the bell. It is time to answer the question, are you, sir, the long-term starter at left tackle, the blindside spot? Because if not, you got to reset that and find a new one. You get 1 year to show it. You look at guard, Aaron Banks. A lot of money on there. Ooh, hasn't been great. Sean Ryan's coming back at center after filling in last year. And then Anthony Belton, second-year guy. Burton, the rookie, he's going to be in play to be a starter. There's potential there, but it's also an unknown. I'm a little bit nervous about the offensive line, if it's going to work out this year. Definitely nervous about the running backs. Without Josh Jacobs, this is a very, 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 very big question mark. Huge question mark. If Josh Jacobs is there, great. But then there's still question marks behind him. What if injury, Josh Jacobs? Marshawn Lloyd has talent. It's just the guy can't stay healthy. You can't assume that he's going to be healthy this year. You can't assume that he's going to be available. You have to be available. Not trying to be negative against him or too tough or whatever it is. He's got to show that he can stay healthy and be available. There's a lot riding on Marshawn Lloyd this year. Even if Josh Jacobs is cleared and he's going to play, there is a ton riding on Marshawn Lloyd this year. He is the primary backup. Wide receivers I feel good about. I feel good about the wide receivers. I feel good about Christian Watson, Jaden Reed. I think Matthew Golden's going to have a very good season this year. Savion Williams is being talked about as a X-factor type of guy. I think this is an important year for him to showcase why Green Bay spent a third-round pick on him and showcase that he can be that X-factor, whether it's involved in jet sweeps or in the passing game. Tucker Kraft, I'm not a doctor. I'm not with him. I don't know the recovery process, but everything that we've heard and have seen, I feel like Tucker Kraft is going to be good to go this year, and he's going to pick up where he left off last year. Tucker Kraft, to me, is easily a top 10 tight end in this game. Easily. There should be no questions. This is a guy that can block. This is a guy that could do your tight end sneaks if you want to. He's a great inline tight end, great in the passing game, great at yards after catch, the yak. Again, this is just a gut feeling. I feel like he's going to be good to go this year. So from an offensive standpoint, if we kind of break it down by offense, defense, and special teams, let's do that. Offensively, players-wise, quarterback, I'm good. Receivers, I'm good. Tight ends, I'm good. Running back, outside of Jacobs, a little nervous. Offensive line, I'm nervous. Play caller, Matt LaFleur, head coach. Might as well just bring him in right here. He's got the contract extension. He's going to be around here for at least a couple of years. I do think at times he, from some fans, gets a little unfairly criticized, but there's definitely criticism surrounding Matt LaFleur. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve any. He deserves plenty. This is a team this year that has to finish games, and it starts with him. It starts with Matt LaFleur. It starts from the head coach. Why in the world can we have these games where we start off really well, the Bears playoff game, and you can't finish? What in HE double hockey sticks is going on with that? You have to figure that out. Is that the offense? Not all gas, no break? Is it defensive collapses? Whatever. Matt LaFleur has to figure that out. That cannot happen anymore. It can't. Unacceptable. Finish games. Offensive standpoint, I want to see this offense take a step. I felt at times it was a little stagnant. I felt at times last year that, okay, hey, we're doing some cool stuff, and then got away from it. Got a little too predictable at times. We got to get back to the creativeness of Matt LaFleur. We got to get back to where, his first year with Jordan Love, that second half, where he was one step ahead of the opposing defensive coordinator. When Matt LaFleur is in that rhythm and he's in that zone, he is one of the best play callers in the game, but we need consistency now. Let's get back to some more play action. Maybe put the ball into Jordan Love's hands a little bit more. That seems to be a thought process from a lot of people out there. Put the ball in Love's hands more. And that was something we talked about last year too. I think Matt LaFleur is a good coach. I think he is a good play caller. But there's no question there needs to be steps taken. There needs to be improvement taken. There needs to be improvement from the play calling standpoint. There needs to be consistency. There needs to be maybe a little bit more creativeness. And there needs to be more accountability when it comes from the head coach in terms of finishing games. Finishing games. Accountability. I think this is, even though he's got the extension, let's revisit Matt LaFleur maybe after 2 more seasons. I honestly feel like that's the window. I don't know how long that extension is. I know there's been some reports out there a few years, but, we know how contracts work. So I'm comfortable with Matt LaFleur at coach. I still got questions. I don't think, I do think he gets a little too criticized from some fans, but he deserves some of it too. I do think this is a 2-year window for him. But this is a big year. The biggest thing that I need to see different from Matt LaFleur is just accountability and finishing this flipping games. I'm tired of these second half collapses, fourth quarter collapses. It's annoying. It's frustrating. Can't do it anymore. Okay, let's take a quick break, and then let's go to the defensive side. Micah Parsons, but a new defensive coordinator, new defensive position coaches. Let's do a little State of the Union on that. Coming up after this quick break. Apparently, according to our good friends at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, it is National Hot Dog Day. How about that? National Hot Dog Day. So they posted up a question on there. Let's throw it out for the rest of the peeps. They say, let's settle the debate once and for all. Ketchup, mustard, or relish? What do you put on your hot dogs? All right. What do you put on there? Hey, while you're checking out Hy-Vee's Facebook page and maybe answering that question for yourself, don't forget to check out their latest deals going on at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Check out their latest flyer. We're talking about 39-cent Hy-Vee yogurts, $3 Jack's frozen pizzas with the purchase of 3. Load up those deep freezers. We're talking about $3 8 packs of bubbly sparkling water with the purchase of 3. Also on there, you've got $4.99 40-pack of bottled waters. Perfect time. Got to stay hydrated during these really, really warm temperatures out there. So you can check it all out. Plus, get some details on fuel savers, fuel perks, what you can save at the gas pump by shopping at Hy-Vee. So go check them out, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. And you've got got the daily deals for meals. So, I know for some people it's too hot to cook. I don't want to cook. Well, Wednesday, it's their smoked rib meal. We're talking $8.99. Served with the house-baked beans and rainbow rotini salad with your rack of ribs. That's a heck of a deal. So if you don't want to cook tonight, it's the smoked rib meal at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. So, okay, let's continue. Let's continue our. Where am I at here? Oh, I'm getting sidetracked. Okay, let's continue our State of the Union for the Packers. Defensively, the biggest change, you got Jonathan Gannon now as your new defensive coordinator, replacing Jeff Hafley. So, former head coach of the Cardinals, former defensive coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles. You have an experienced guy coming in. And I think and he wasn't I shouldn't say he wasn't a flashy hire because he was a name. But a lot of Packers fans obviously wanted Jimmy Leonard. And now Jimmy Leonard's the defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. So just naturally, a lot of Packers fans, they're going to be comparing the defenses of the Buffalo Bills and the Packers. Jonathan Gannon versus Jimmy Leonard. That is going to happen. Outside of that, the Packers, I thought, added some good veteran assistant coaches on the defensive line or on the defensive part to hopefully, maybe, get the most out of this defense. They added Bobby Babich, former defense coordinator with Buffalo, actually interviewed to be the Packers defense coordinator a couple years ago. He's a secondary pass game coordinator. They're bringing in Daniel Bullock's cornerbacks coach, coming over from San Francisco. They still got DeMarcus Covington, who has defensive coordinator experience with the New England Patriots. They're bringing in Sam Seifkes as their new linebackers coach. So, new voices in that defensive room. Will it translate on the field? I think, the defense, when I look at it, we know about Micah Parsons, but by all accounts, he's going to miss the first few games of the season. And we are just hoping and praying to the football gods that Micah Parsons, when he returns to the field, that he will be the Micah Parsons that we saw last year, a defensive player of the year candidate, a complete game wrecker. That is the hope. And that is what we are praying to Vince Lombardi for. When he returns, that he is good to go. Not lost a step. He is still the same Micah Parsons, that dominating football player. Without Micah Parsons, you look at this team and you're like, I think from safety position, to me, is probably the position group that I'm most comfortable in. You got X back there, Xavier McKinney. I think Evan Williams has continued to take a big leap. I trust those two at the back end. Javon Bullard is on there. He's listed as a nickel corner. Javon Bullard played great last year. Edgerrin Cooper, I'm expecting a jump from him in year 3. Dude is a great linebacker, one of the better young linebackers in this game. One of the better linebackers overall, off-ball linebackers in football, in my opinion. Zaire Franklin comes in to replace Quay Walker. That, to me, is going to be an interesting thing to watch. I think the one thing with Quay Walker during his time with Green Bay, I don't think there was any question about his athleticism. I don't think there was a lot of questions about, okay, this guy can be a really good linebacker. It was the consistency part of it. Can he, week in, week out, game in, game out, just put together a string of really good performances? And that seemed to be the thing that he struggled with the most. So with Zaire coming in, a guy that's been doing it for a while, I know he's coming off of a down year with the Colts. There's been some talk. Was it a defensive philosophy change that resulted in that? But with Zaire coming in, the veteran, can he provide that kind of stabilization, that stabilizing force on the off-ball linebacker group? I'm excited to see Zaire and Edrin together. I'm excited to see those two guys paired up, to see what they can do on the defensive side, because with no Micah Parsons for the first few weeks of the season, I think it's going to be very crucial for those two guys, along with Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams, to play their butts off and to be big parts of this defense. But it boils down again, like what we were talking about the offense. I don't care how much the game has changed over the years. It is still a game that is played and won in the trenches. This defensive line group. You've got Devontae Wyatt, who I think is their best defensive lineman, and he has shown glimpses. Again, his issues have just been, can the guy stay healthy and on the field? You're bringing in Hargrave, a veteran. Does he got enough left in the tank for just a couple more years? Carl Brooks is on there. You've got, and then it's sprinkled in with guys that, like Jonathan Ford has been around for a while, but stops in Green Bay, Chicago, then Green Bay again, right? And then you kind of look at Chris McKellen, the rookie, how much of a contribution you get from him right away. Jordan Riley came in last year, Nazir Stackhouse. If you've got concerns or questions about this defensive line, I'm with you. I don't think this is a defensive line that can afford to go through injuries this year, because the depth, I don't think it's there. I would have liked to have seen maybe Green Bay do just a little bit more in terms of depth. Now, okay, they traded Colby Wooden to bring in Zaire. They sign Hargrave. And then they draft Chris McKellen. Okay, so maybe did a little bit more than what they did last year. Great, but was it enough? Was it enough? That remains to be seen. How can Green Bay, how can Jonathan Gannon get the most out of this defensive line? Can he draw on some of his experience with Philadelphia? That was a big reason why Philadelphia was so good, won a Super Bowl, and I know they didn't win it with Gannon and such, but that defensive group, that defensive line, the depth that they had there, is there something he can take away from that to get the most out of this group? Stopping the run, providing some interior, up the middle pressure. And speaking of pressure, outside of Micah Parsons, you look at the edge rushers and, okay, a lot is on the shoulders of Lucas Van Ness. No more waiting. It is time. The time is now for Lucas Van Ness to show that he can be a premier pass rusher in this league, that he can be a starting pass rusher in this league. The time is now. It has to happen. And I look at the first few weeks of this season and, all right, all hands on deck. I don't know what Barron Sorrell is going to be like. I'm curious and I'm intrigued with him from a little bit that we saw last year. I think he's got a great motor on him, and I think he's got a great attitude. I'm excited for him to get more opportunities. Is he ready for that? Colin Oliver, the mini Micah, same thing. Great motor. All he did in college was sack the quarterback. Missed a ton of time last year recovering from injury. He's going to get an opportunity. What about Danny Dennis Sutton, the rookie from Penn State? Brenton Cox Jr. Time is now for him, too. He's been on the team for the last couple of years as an undrafted guy. I think he is better suited for a 3-4. Time is now. There's going to be opportunities for these guys to make their mark, especially in the early part of the season. And the Packers, they need these guys to make their mark. Especially, with even when Micah comes back, will it be a little bit of a ramp up? Either way, they're going to rotate guys in. These guys got to step up. They may be young, they may be inexperienced, but they got to step up. And then you look at the corners. Oh. Corners. Keyshawn, got to play better than last year. You want to be a number one corner? You can't play like you did last year. Carrington Valentine, dude, get tackle. I mean, this is, if it's not pass rushers that you're worried about, you're probably concerned about corners the most. Brandon Cisse, their first pick, but he was a second-round pick. I think eventually he's going to be a starter. I don't know if he'll start the season as a starter, but I think as the season progresses, he's going to be a starter. Damani Jackson is another rookie, 6th-round pick out of Alabama. I think he, just when you just look at the group here, it's like Benjamin St. Juste. He's coming over from the Chargers, experienced. So when I look at this group, usually you see teams carry 6, 7, 8 corners. I think you've got 4 for sure locks with Keyshawn, Carrington, Brandon Cisse, and Benjamin St. Juste. I would be confident in Damani Jackson, maybe a couple more after that. Where the heck are they going to come from? Is it going to be, like a Jalen Simpson? Yes, you got Javon Bullard technically listed as the slot guy, but the corners I'm a little concerned about. Not a little concerned, I'm a lot concerned about. I'll be real. And I guess if we were to kind of do what keeps me up at night, specifically for the defense, is can they be consistent? Can the corners do their job? Can we generate a pass rush? Can we stop the run? There's a lot of unknowns at this point that I don't know. Again, kind of like with the offense, I think the potential is there. I think when we look at the potential of this team, I still believe this is a championship caliber team. It's just the thing that keeps me up at night is going to be kind of the same thing with the offense. Can they close out games? Are we going to get to a point where, okay, we're up by 5. Green Bay's up by 5. And the defense is out on the field. Are we going to be feeling good about our defense holding them out of the end zone? Probably more so when Micah's out there, but it's got to be more than just Micah, too. Will we feel good if that opponent is starting at their own 20? There's 2 minutes left on the clock. They ain't scoring. They ain't driving 80 yards to get in the end zone. That's what I want to feel like. Okay. Got to take a quick break. Let's get to special teams then. State of the Union on special teams. We'll be right back after these few words. Summer is here, and that means it is time to hit the road in something that you love. At Toyson Ford, you will find a great selection of new and pre-owned vehicles ready for every adventure. Looking for some power, comfort, reliability? They've got it all. Backed by a team that's committed to making your car buying experience easy and stress-free. So whether it's a weekend getaway or your daily drive, make sure you are riding in style this summer. Toyson Ford in Chippewa Falls, where your next journey begins. Okay, let's continue our State of the Union, Wisconsin Sports Edition, as we wrap up the green and gold. Looking at the special teams now. Cam Acord, we got a new special teams coordinator. The Packers got a new special teams coordinator. Rich Bisaccia out. Cam Acord in. We'll see if that works. I mean, you got a new kicker, Trey Smack. You got a new special teams coordinator. We got a new returner with Sky Moore. A lot of newbies. Daniel Whelan is probably the only thing that I'm the most confident in on special teams, the punter. That dude, I'm good. I am completely A-okay with the Irishman. That guy, with his distance, with his hang time, inside the 20, no issues. He's one of the better punters, I feel like, in the league. I'm nervous with a rookie kicker. Again, with like a lot of this with the Packers, there's potential there with him. He's got a leg. He's got the ability. It's kicking at Lambeau is different. And I don't know if I could go through, like many Packers fans, I don't know if we could go through another up and down type of season and go through the highs and the lows when it comes to our kickers. Just can't. Can we find the next Mason Crosby? I hope Trace Mack is the next Mason Crosby. I really do. I want to go 15-plus years with the same kicker. Because that means we got a pretty good one. We've got a successful one. And let's keep it going. We have struggled to find a replacement for Mason Crosby. Brandon McManus was good for a hot minute. Stabilized it at a time of big need. Well, he's gone now, too. So, Trace Mack, it's your job, man. It's your job. And I don't want to be in a situation during this season again where we're saying, oh, we're sitting there nervous about kickers. I mean, I'll always be nervous about a kicker. I don't care who it is. But when you add in it's a rookie kicker, the nerves are going to be there big time. Sky Moore, I think, I don't know if Keyshawn is going to return kicks at all. I'm assuming Sky Moore is going to be the guy. I like that they went out there, and I like that they got him to go. Just at least we have a little bit of a threat. A little bit of a threat in the return game, whether it's punting or kicking. They have changed the rules in kickoffs so much where they want returns to happen. We have to have a little bit of a threat with that now. If you're going to cater to Keyshawn Nixon, where he's just going to focus on defense, you gotta replace him. And we can't go into a playoff game with Josh Jacobs and returning kicks because you need something. That can't happen anymore. So I like the fact that they went out there, they did something about it. They went out there and brought in at least somebody who has experience and somebody who is at least a little bit of a threat. It's really hard to kind of scout at what a new special teams coordinator is going to bring to the table. What Cam is going to do to this group that was different than Rich Bisaccia. A lot of it is just, okay, who are the players he's going to have? Who are the players that are going to be open, allowed, eligible to play on special teams? It starts there. But I think one thing that Cam has to do is to get people to buy in. Buy in to playing special teams. And that might just have to be more from Cam. That might have to be from an organizational standpoint. Buy in. You want to be on this team, you have to play special teams. If you're a back end of the roster guy, you want to make this team, it's got to go old school. You got to play special teams. You gotta have that. I want a fast flying, physical, aggressive special teams group. I don't want stupid penalties. I want a very disciplined special teams group. So sick and tired over the years of holding on a kick return to open up the game. It felt like how many times that happened. Stupid penalties. Putting your offense in a tough situation when there's no need to. Fair catches, penalty. What are we doing? So I guess for Cam, what I want to see from a State of the Union here is discipline, fast, and a commitment to play special teams. It's an unknown. It's a big unknown. There's a lot of changes in this group from some of the big positions, the coordinator, the returner, and the kicker. Daniel Whelan, we're good. Punter's good. But there's a lot of changes elsewhere. Protection, it's got to be up to snuff too. There was too many times for my liking where that pressure got through. And I think that goes to discipline, accountability, that commitment. So I guess to sum it all up now, as we wrap up the Packers portion of our State of the Union, I'll go back to that P word, potential. I truly believe that this is a team that has talent to compete for a championship. But the thing that keeps me up at night is going to be, can they finish games? Are they going to be able to do what they couldn't do last year and finish those games? I feel they have the quarterback to do it, to go win a championship. They've got the difference maker on the defensive side. Yep, we're going to be really watching when Micah Parsons comes back if he's going to be vintage Micah Parsons. I think they got enough tools. But the other thing that would be keeping me up at night is that I don't think this is a team that can have too many injuries. Now, you can say that for a lot of teams. And injuries are a big factor in whether your team is going to be hoisting the Lombardi Trophy or not. But you look at running back, tight end, defensive line, corners, edge rushers. If you're nervous about the depth, I'm there with you too. So that would be the other thing that would keep me up at night is this is a team that can't suffer too many injuries because I'm a little nervous on that aspect. But if everything clicks, they've got the talent to be there in February. They do. They really do. And I think going forward, this is going to be a franchise, kind of like when we were talking about with the Brewers here a little bit going forward, the outlook. The window is now. The window is now to go capture another championship, to capture your 5th Super Bowl trophy, to capture your 14th World Championship. The window is now. When you add a Micah Parsons like you did last year, when you have a quarterback, and you have pieces surrounding that quarterback, and you got other pieces elsewhere, you have a roster that can. Is there some holes? Yes. There's going to be holes on every team. Some are going to be bigger than others. But the window is now. Goody said it a couple years ago. It is time they start living up to this. It is time to compete for championships. It is not good enough to just go to the postseason if you're the Green Bay Packers. That's not the expectation. The expectation and the goal is to win trophies, to win championship trophies. Like the Brewers, I don't want to sound like a spoiled fan, but it's great that our team is consistently competing for championships. This is going to be a very tough NFC North again this year with good competition. Bears are going to be there. Lions are going to be there. Vikings are going to be a tough team. I don't care what you say. They'll be a formidable opponent. But the window is now. And making it to the playoffs, while it's great, and I never, ever, ever, ever want to take that for granted, You got to make the postseason and then give yourself a chance. That should be the goal first. Make the postseason, give yourself a chance. But it's got to be Super Bowls. Now is the time. That window is now to win championships. Have to do it. Again, I don't want to sound entitled. I don't want to sound spoiled. I'm not taking these playoff runs for granted. I'm not taking it for granted that they make the playoffs. But like the Brewers, even more so than the Brewers, though, you got to add trophies now. Got to win championships. All right, we got to take a quick break. By the time we come back, it'll probably be close to the top of the hour here. So we'll get to the college side of things in the next hour for our State of the Union. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Summer puts your vehicle to the test, and AJM Automotive is ready to help you win that battle. With 2 convenient Eau Claire locations, AJM Automotive can handle everything from oil changes and inspections to brakes, tires, and major repairs. Before your next road trip, make sure your vehicle is ready for wherever summer takes you. Trust the team at AJM Automotive. 2 locations and 1 commitment. That is keeping you safely on the road all summer long. Don't forget to follow their Facebook page, too, for some of their cool stuff like ordering online, ordering tires, shopping for tires online, mobile service, all that good stuff. So make sure you are following the AJM Automotive Facebook page. All right. Told you. It's going to be a quick one. We're 3 in. We got 1 more to go coming up in our latest round of State of the Union Wisconsin sports. We're going to take a look at Badgers College. We'll be right back after these few words. All right, the final hour is kicking off right now on this Wednesday morning. Thanks for hanging out with us and making us a part of your start on this July 15th morning. We've been doing some State of the Unions, talking about the Brewers, the Packers, a little bit about the Bucks. We're going to get to the Badgers and all that good stuff here in just a skosh. It is a Wednesday, which also means it's a What If Wednesday. So give us your what-if sports scenarios. You can send those on over to that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line with a quick text at 715-830-1912. It is also a What Are We Doing Here Wednesday. Got a few of those from some of you. We'll get to those, but it's that sports opinion, take, story that could be out there where you're like, dude, what are we doing here? So get to those. You can also hit us up in the Section 105 chat. As well as along with the texting line. We kick off this hour, though, like we have been doing for the last few weeks, and we're checking in with Coach Britton from the Eau Claire Axemen. The Eau Claire Axemen, they're going to be on the road this Saturday, taking on the Iowa Woo. And then the final game of the regular season will be the final home game next week, July 25th, taking on the St. Joe Goats. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Fantastic. Good morning, Dan. I want to wish you a pre-happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, turning the big 4-0, so we got another era coming there. So, but no, appreciate that, Coach.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, so you got the Iowa Woo. You have faced them about a month ago, June 20th, at home. What is it from that game, that Week 4 matchup that you had against them, that maybe you can prepare your team for this matchup this weekend?
We understand they've obviously won 2 games now. They beat the Goats and one other, the Siege, I believe, who we lost to. And we've been competitive in every game. And I think we're fully expecting the Woo. We lost with like 2 seconds to go in the game on a somewhat controversial call. But it didn't turn out that way. So we know what they have. They know what we have. And it's just a matter of buckling up our helmets and just playing 4 quarters.
So looking, can you believe we're only 2 more weeks, of this season? What is it, what's really stood out to you being the head coach this year when you kind of look back at the season? What's maybe something that you've been really proud of as coach too?
I think the culture, that was from the get-go. My vision was, and again, based on 3 pillars, faith, family, and love. And I just love my players. My coaches do. And they know that. We talk about it every day. When we have a breakdown, it's always about family. And it's a never quit attitude, even though these guys have, we played great 3 quarters, came within 2 a couple of times against the Siege, and just got to play a complete game. But I love our no-quit attitude, kind of like the Jimmy Valvano, just never, ever give up.
To give fans a heads up, I did see on your Facebook page a little bit earlier this morning, the Axemen Facebook page a little bit earlier this morning too, for the final home game, there's going to be some limited edition shirts to give away for the last home game. Looks like by your sponsor, Farrell Equipment. Those look like those are pretty sweet shirts too. So that's a cool giveaway for fans coming up for your final home game next week.
Most definitely, and I always thank our sponsors, but I know John and Gwen and Tim Sachs and their sister and Timmy and my son Vincent and my daughter Marnie are good friends. So it's great to have people in the community that and that get behind something, and then they put their stamp on it, and I haven't even seen the shirts yet, so that'll be a surprise for me. But no, they're just great people, have a great company, and we just thank all of our sponsors. We had our Rooster, the guy that lives, I think, in Oklahoma or whatever. He's in charge of Council Tools, and he was up here for the game last week and finally got a chance to meet him. And so, yeah, I love all of our sponsors, and we hope to get more next year. But the season is just flowing by.
Mm-hmm. What's that? What's been that embrace like from community, but sponsors too? It looks like you guys have a ton of support, a ton of sponsors. What does that mean to you to see all that support in the community?
It just I guess makes us viable, that we're seen and we're valued, and we definitely value them. Dunkin' Donuts, all the way to Council Tools, Farrell. All of the sponsors. I feel like a NASCAR driver, but we couldn't do some of the things we do. Festival Foods, we just couldn't, and Mancino's, we just couldn't do what we do without that, because it takes money, and the owner tries to save money, and guys are only playing for $200 to $600 max, and some guys have jobs, some guys don't. So all that support always helps us out. So we're so fortunate and thankful with all of our sponsors, and we hope next year we get a ton more on board.
And I know you mentioned Dunkin' Donuts too, and I know it was not that long ago too, but your players, I mean, involved in the community, they were hanging out at Dunkin' Donuts too. So, I mean, it's cool to see when you have your players involved in the community and out and about too.
Yes, on Friday, players are going to join up with Boys and Girls Club, and then the following, that'll be this Friday from 11 to noon, and then the following Friday, I believe, the 24th, we will be at the Children's Museum from 11 to 12 to meet the public and one-on-one with kids, and with me being a school teacher within the district, my 39th year going to be starting, and my 46th year coaching, and I'll be at Memorial, just to get out in the community, and our players get to see these people on a different level. And, for that hour, the kids or parents too, or fans get a chance to see our guys in a different light. It's just great to see community support, and we just love to give back as well.
For anybody who hasn't been to an Axe game yet, what would, because you guys, I've seen you guys, and you've used it on this show too, the eighth man. What is it, what's an environment like going to one of these games, and how crucial is it for fans to get there and help your team out?
Especially against the Woo, we had a pretty ruckus crowd, which is what we always anticipate, and we can always fill the arena. But yeah, it's just being the eighth man. It's like anything, like the 12th man with the Seahawks. But I'm a huge Packer fan, so go Pack, go! But go Axemen, go! So yeah, that always gives us that little extra boots. And yeah, even though we're 0-6 and haven't won a game, our fans are rabid fans, and they're loyal, and we're loyal to them. So again, next year we're hoping to pump out even more tickets and get more people to the game, because it's so fast paced. It's 7-on-7 inside a hockey rink, full go, blasting into the boards, over the boards, catching touchdowns. Even though we've come on the short end of the stick, it's just a lot of fun, and it's fast paced. And after next week, unfortunately, our season will be done, but then I have a week off, and then I'll be back at Memorial High School being the D-line coach and head JV coach.
Nice. Well, Coach, best of luck this weekend. Looking forward to following along. Safe travels, and can't wait to catch up next week as we preview the final home game of the season. Have a good rest of your week, Coach, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you very much, Dan, and we would love for you to attend on next Saturday, the 25th, and I'd love to introduce you to the guys and the man behind the microphone and the voice. And thank you very much, and hopefully we can come back with a win on Saturday night.
Sounds good. Thank you, Coach. There's Coach Jim Britton for the Eau Claire Axemen joining us for our Wednesday morning chats here. So good stuff as always. Let's take a quick break and let's talk some Badgers. Let's talk some college. Let's pick up our State of the Union chat here, shall we? We'll take a look at the Badgers. Lots to dissect, and we just kind of lump the Badgers into one, right? New AD starts there. Football program, coach in the hot seat. What about men's basketball? Greg Gard ain't going anywhere, but do we need to see a little bit more from success in the tournament in that? Let's dive into that coming up after these few words. Summer is the season for golf, softball, pickleball, running, staying active. But you know what? Aches and pains, they can quickly slow you down, man. That's where Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine comes in. Their experienced team helps weekend warriors and athletes of all ages get back to doing what they love with expert care and treatment options designed to keep you moving. Play more, hurt less. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine can help you out. Just get started today by visiting cvosm.com. That's cvosm.com. Okay. Should we get right to it? Do it to it, right? State of the Union, Wisconsin Badgers. New AD. We've got a new athletic director for the Wisconsin Badgers after Chris McIntosh leaving to take a job with the Big Ten Conference. Badgers went on their search, and they brought in Sean Eichhorst. We know this. The move was met with mixed reactions at best. Some like the fact that he is a Wisconsin guy, worked under Barry Alvarez, coming from Texas. Some not thrilled with it because, well, look what he did with Nebraska. He was athletic director at Miami for a hot minute, hired Jim Larinaga at the basketball program. Good hire. Nebraska, not great. Fired Bo Pelini, football coach. Mike Riley replaced it. And honestly, I think that's, you take away the Nebraska portion of it, and I think this is probably a hire that's maybe met with more positive reviews. But let's not kid ourselves. When we think about Wisconsin Badgers, what's the first thing that maybe we're losing sleep over? It's probably football. That is the biggest question mark. This is a make or break year for Luke Fickell, and this is potentially Sean Eichhorst's first big decision. There has to be, I think, bare minimum for Luke Fickell to keep his job if he wants to remain at Wisconsin. Has to be bowl game, win a bowl game maybe. There's got to be vast improvements, insane improvements from this squad, from this team. It can't have another year like we've seen the last couple of years. It just, no. Football is what moves the needle in college sports, and given where college sports currently is at, it's moolah, it's money. Football is the driver, especially for, Big Ten and all that stuff. So, State of the Union wise, I don't feel great about the football program. I don't feel great about what the foreseeable future is. It is really disappointing to see how the football program has fallen over the last few years. And given, all the changes with transfer portal especially, but then the NIL, and you wonder, it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago where our expectations for football was, what we've been talking about for Brewers and the Packers and expectations and championships and the Badger football team. It wasn't that long ago where it was similar to what we're seeing with the Brewers right now. It's like, can we get a little bit more than just maybe a Rose Bowl appearance? Can we compete for a national championship? Can we do it? And it felt like we were inching closer and closer to it, where that expectation was getting a little bit, and then all of a sudden, the floor collapsed. And now we're trying to dig out of the rubble and maybe just get back to what we were before, where it was like, hey, 9-3, maybe to a Rose Bowl, we're good. Now we just want that back. So that might be a case study in like, hey, be careful, with high expectations sometimes. When you try to go for it and you be a little bit more aggressive with that, look what happens. Might be a case study. But this is something this is something you got to fix, and it's going to have to be sooner rather than later. I don't think any Badgers fan wants to go through a boatload of years upon years upon years of non-competitive football, of under 500 football, not becoming bowl eligible. It's just, to me, it's kind of frustrating and at times mind-boggling that we weren't that far away. We're not that far removed from saying, hey, can we have a little bit more than bowl eligible? Because just the expectations and the goals were so incredibly high. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having high goals and high expectations. I think if you're in that position as a team, that means you've been doing some good things for a while now, and all right, you just move it up a little bit. But it hasn't worked out for this football squad. And looking at the landscape of the Big Ten, the conference, the teams that are in it, Ohio State, Michigan, we'll see now. But you got a USC in there. You got an Oregon. Big Ten football is competitive. It's going to be tough to win. And Wisconsin has to get to that level. They have to improve dramatically. It's not going to be a one-year thing. You know, outlook-wise, sure. There is, great recruiting classes from all accounts coming our way or coming Wisconsin's way. Got that to look forward to. But that's kind of the other thing with college, isn't it? It's like, are they going to stay? Are they going to leave right away because they want playing time right away, or they got bigger opportunities or bigger paydays elsewhere? That's one of my bugaboos too that I really don't like about college sports at this point in time. But, football-wise, State of the Union, I'm not too confident in it. I'm not. I do feel like there's going to be, again, shout out to our guy Brandon who brought this up, because I think it's a great way to look at this upcoming season. It's either going to be another bad season, there's going to be change coming, or you're going to be pleasantly surprised and they're back to a bowl game. Those are the two ways I think we can look at this. Basketball-wise, State of the Union. Okay, so Greg Gard over the last few years, this men's Badger basketball team over the last few years, he has done above and beyond in trying to get his team to stay competitive in the NIL era, in the transfer portal era. He has adjusted. He has adapted. It's still really tough for Wisconsin compared to other teams, money-wise and that. Well, they go overseas. They've hit the transfer portal. They have hit on a couple of senior guards. And they've exceeded expectations in the regular season. But the Badger basketball team, the men's Badger basketball team, is kind of like the Brewers in an essence where, okay, they surprise people in the regular season. They win a bunch of games in the regular season. But when it comes to tournament time, playoff time, gone. No deep runs. And I think, I don't want to speak for all Badgers fans, but I think you want to see this team get at least back to the Sweet 16, win a couple games, build upon that. It's really, gone are the days, I think, of basketball teams where you're going to have a guy on his freshman year and he's going to play 4 years and graduate. Don't think you're going to have any more Frank Kaminsky's. Heck, I don't even know if you're going to have any more Sam Deckers where he plays 3 years. And I'm talking about the players who are pivotal players, not back-end bench players. They've had a few players that I guess are doing the Sam Decker era, but you're not going to have the guys like the Frank Kaminsky's where, okay, they're on your team and they're there, you're going to develop them. Players are going to be impatient. They're going to want to play right away. We've already seen some players doing that where they're not patient and they're moving on to go play elsewhere. So I do think there is a little bit of pressure under Greg Gard to not just win in the regular season, but you got to win in the in the tournament. You got to win a couple games, maybe advance to a Sweet 16, maybe go a little bit further in the tournament. I still feel good about this program, and I have confidence in Greg Gard when it comes to the regular season. And I think he's a good coach. It's just we got to see a little bit more now when it gets to the tournament. I want to see Wisconsin make it to a Sweet 16 weekend. I don't want to see the one and dones or win your first game and then you're trounced in the second round. I just, no. On the flip side of women's basketball, it sure seems like they're trending in a good direction. I know last year, if we did this, there wasn't a whole lot of optimism, especially, new coach coming in, not a splashy hire. But doing well on the recruiting trail, doing well on, some of the transfer portal. I think there is better hope, better optimism about the women's basketball team than there probably has been in a long time. Now, can it translate to the court? That's the biggest thing. Can it translate to the court? Can they do this on the court? Can they win games? Can they, make the NCAA tournaments along with UW Green Bay? UW Milwaukee's always kind of been a factor in it too. Hockey-wise, women's team, that is the thing I believe in. That is the one sport at the UW, let me back up. UW women's hockey, UW women's volleyball. The two teams I believe in. I believe in Mark Johnson. I believe in Kelly Sheffield. I believe in those two teams, those two programs. And why wouldn't you? Those are the closest for sure things at Wisconsin amongst the top programs, the premier programs, sports programs. Women's hockey, women's volleyball. Enough said. Those are what I believe. Those are one of those, like if I'm Sean Eichhorst and I'm coming in, I ain't messing with those programs. Coach Sheffield, what do you need? Whatever you need. Coach Johnson, what do you need? Okay, I'm not touching those programs. I'm not getting involved. You guys are winners. You guys have proven. You know what you're doing with your teams, with your programs. You're good. Men's hockey, okay. Mike Hastings' era came in right away. Great. Last year, or the second year, was down. A lot of people are like, what the heck happened? A lot of kids left. A lot of players left. Last year, kind of surprised the people. Arrows pointing upward. I think there's confidence there. I think we're good there. I think you're confident in the direction of the men's hockey program under Mike Hastings. But let's circle back to the big thing, to the big hire that was just recent, the athletic director. Questions about. He's mentioned that he wants to bring a Texas swagger with him. I hope his experience at Texas has better prepared him for this job, especially when it comes to fundraising, NIL. Better prepared, maybe even for like transfer portal stuff. I know that might be mostly from the coach's side of things, but better prepared because college has changed. College sports has changed since his time at Nebraska. So I'm looking at his experience with Texas as being a nice factor bonus with this. That's where I'm hoping it really comes into play here during his time as athletic director for Wisconsin. But he's got a tough task at hand. There's a tough task at hand to get Wisconsin to be competitors in the NIL world, to paying players, and to getting that football team back to competing for Big Ten championships and bowl eligible, and getting that men's basketball team further in the tournament. Those are the things that I would say are right up there. Women's basketball too. It's a tough job. It's a tough position to be in, to come in when your football program is kind of teetering, where you might have to make a coaching change. That's probably going to be his first big decision, unless Luke Fickell surprises everybody and gets this team playing at a high level. I don't think there's a whole lot of optimism surrounding that, though. I believe in women's volleyball. I believe in women's hockey. The thing that keeps me up at night when it comes to Wisconsin Badgers is going to be the football team and the immediate future of the football team, too. So that's my State of the Union for the Badgers. Let's take a break. We'll be back after these few words. One more reminder, don't forget, it is 715 day today. Happy 715 day, everybody. And if you want to help celebrate 715 day, you can head on down to the Brewing Project at 5 p.m. tonight. There'll be some food trucks, music, games, stuff to win. Lots of cool stuff going on for 715 day at the Brewing Project. Got to give another shout out to the partners, Country Jam, Chippewa Valley Airport, Timber Technology, Walsworth, Anders Landscaping, Schwanke Services, Schneider Exteriors, Blue Hills Vineyard and Winery, Stanley Tire Center, Wisconsin Milkwood Alliance, Quality Exteriors, Fortis Direct Primary Care, Tommy's Express Car Wash, the Pablo Center, Ashley for the Arts. You've got Polar Tool and Supplies, L3 Landscaping, Bullseye Auto, the Mabel Tainter, Claflin Construction, Chippewa Valley or Revival Records on there too. So, again, 715 day at the Brewing Project going on at 5 p.m. today. So, dress light because it's going to be a little bit warm. Also, should also mention 20% of their sales. So, they got a 715 shandy at the Brewing Project. 20% of their sales will go to local animal shelters. Okay, so we had the All-Star game last night. Had a couple people ask thoughts on it. I mean, it wasn't exciting, I guess. National League only had 3 hits. 75% of the scoring was done in the first inning. I will say the one thing I really did like about the All-Star game was really nothing with the game itself. Big tip of the cap with the Sandlot reference, where they had Ray Charles, old video Ray Charles, singing America, Sweets America. You know, the clip from like Sandlot where they're playing the game under the fireworks and you had all the players holding sparklers. They had fireworks going off, kids riding their bikes out there and able to kind of talk with some of the major leaguers. Mike Trout was giving a swinging lesson to a kid. I will say this. There is, in my opinion, no other sport that does as good of a job to incorporate kids than baseball, or to keep because all these games, we play these sports when we're kids, whether it's basketball, whether it's football or baseball, right? We play these games when we're kids. Baseball, I don't think any other sport prioritizes kids the way baseball does, still to this day. And I think a lot of it is something that we have said for a while, though. Your first organized sport that you played as a kid, or the first team that you played on as a kid, was probably baseball or softball or t-ball. It was of that era, and I think baseball does a really good job of embracing, harnessing, still holding on to that pastime. Realizing the love of the game started way back when we were youngsters. I have grown over these last couple of years, a bigger appreciation, a bigger love, and I guess in some ways a bigger fanism for baseball because of my kid being in baseball, starting off with t-ball, coach pitch, now kid pitch, and helping coach, being at the diamond, being at the ball. I have grown a bigger appreciation for baseball, or I've gone back to my love for baseball that I had when I was his age. And I think baseball just does a really, really good job of always remembering it's a kid's game. You know, it's still a kid's game. And that was kind of cool. I mean, Sandlot's one of my favorite movies. Sandlot was such a important movie, pivotal movie, whatever you want to call it. When I was a kid growing up, would watch that nonstop at my grandma's. And so I loved that one. I did. It was really cool. So That was good. Otherwise, the game. And really, when you think about it, a lot of these All-Star games, they're still competitive games. They're still fairly close games. And that's what I appreciate about the All-Star game. But it's kind of the same thing all the time, isn't it? It's kind of the same game all the time, too. All right, we got to take our final break here coming up. Man, is it the final break? Yeah, that is the final break here. Okay, I was a little bit behind, but we don't have really any picks except for one. We got another World Cup soccer game. Yesterday, we had Spain taking down France 2-0. So they advance to the championship. They got Argentina versus England at 2:00 today. Who will win to set up the championship match between, against Spain? Who is it going to be? We'll make that pick. And some final thoughts, some final calls, and all that good stuff. So let's do that. We'll take our final break and start to wrap up this program. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Wrapping things up here on this Wednesday morning, as we usually do. Let's wrap it up with some picks. And, well, I'm going to stick with my Argentina pick for the World Cup. Got yesterday's game wrong, but I'm going to stick with Argentina taking down England. So Argentina will advance to take on Spain for the World Cup final. ESPN, by the way, continued their top 10 countdown of where executives, coaches, scouts rank the top, top positions or top position players. And so they got receivers now. And Jamar Chase is number 1. Justin Jefferson 2. Jackson Smith Najigba number 3. Puka Nacua 4. Amon-Ra St. Brown number 5. CeeDee Lamb 6. George Pickens 7. Nico Collins 8. A.J. Brown at 9. Devontae Adams coming in at number 10. Honorable mentions, Malik Neighbors, Mike Evans, Zay Flowers, Tyreek Hill. He's still a free agent. Drake London, Jamison Williams, Alec Pierce, T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave in the category of also receiving votes. So, yes, you are reading that right. There was no Packer player listed on there. So, no, Christian Watson was not on there. But yesterday, we already mentioned it, but Edgerrin Cooper was in the top 10. Zaire Franklin was in the others receiving votes. Tomorrow, they're going to be doing safeties. So, they're going to be doing safeties tomorrow. Got to imagine Xavier McKinney on there, I would think. I'll be curious if Evan Williams gets any attention. If not, I think this could be potentially a big year for Evan Williams. Maybe to get some of that respect, get some of that love that is out there. So, what's this here? Okay, we got a trade. Okay, this is interesting. We got a trade for the Brewers. The Brewers, according to reports here, are going to be acquiring Lance McCullers Jr. from the Houston Astros. Don't know what the Brewers are giving up, but the Brewers are going to be adding Lance McCullers Jr. Okay. Interesting. So far this year, Lance is 2-3 with a 6.86 ERA in 8 games that he has started. Last year for the Astros, he was 2-5 with a 6.51 ERA. He's not the 2021 version where he was 13-5 with a 3.16 ERA in 28 games. In 2022, he started 8 games, was 4-2. He's been dealing with some injuries and such, but a little bit of a name there. I mean, he was a one-time All-Star. You got to go back to 2017 for that, but all right, so Brewers, I don't know if this I would imagine this would be for, I don't know. Would it be bullpen or starter? Probably starter, I would think, but All right, so we'll have to dive into that when we get some more details. What did the Brewers? I'm curious what did the Brewers give up for Lance McCullers Jr.? As Bob Nightingale just less than a minute ago tweeted out, the Brewers taking a flyer on Lance McCullers, who has pitched just 39 1/3 innings this year for the Astros. So, something to kind of keep tabs on. But, wow, we'll definitely hit this up tomorrow once we know some more details. But, all right, for everybody who wanted the Brewers to get a starter, there you go. There's this. I'll have to text Brandon and get his ideas and thoughts on this or maybe wait and see what the Brewers gave up for him. They're taking a flyer. It's got to be low risk. I can't imagine the Brewers gave up a ton. I mean, again, he's not the same pitcher that he was earlier on in his career with with the Astros. I mean, he has missed 3 complete years, 2019, 2023, 2024, due to injury. So I got to imagine this is a very low risk. And Brewers have done this with veterans before when it comes to pitchers. I mean, Dallas Keuchel, Gio Gonzalez. So, yeah. Let's see what happens. That's curious. I don't know. I kind of don't know what else to say. Don't know what they would have get. I can't be enough. It can't be a lot. I keep refreshing to see if we get it before 10 o'clock, but doesn't look like it. So, all right, there you go. If you're just joining in, Brewers apparently are acquiring Lance McCullers Jr. from the Astros. So, there you go. When did he last pitch this year? Let me see if I can bring that up here quick. I felt like, did he pitch against the Brewers this year? So his last game was back on the 13th of May. He went 5 1/3, 2 earned runs against Seattle. All right. No. Okay. Yeah. Just looking at some of his numbers for this year. All right. Anyways, getting sidetracked. I got to look at this when we're off the air here. So we'll have more about this tomorrow as we know more details coming through here. What maybe the Brewers kind of gave up. This is the second move the Brewers have done with the Astros in the last few days here too. So, all right. Tomorrow, Thursday, it is a Am I Wrong Thursday. This is your homework assignments. Think of your sports opinions, your sports takes, where you'd be like, am I wrong for saying this? Am I wrong for thinking that? Also, 3 up, 3 down. Kind of like stock risers. You can play along with this one too. What are 3 things that are up? What are 3 things that are down? I want to hear your picks too. I don't want to hear just my picks. I want to hear yours. So give me your Am I Wrong tomorrow. Give me your 3 ups and your 3 downs. Okay? That is your homework assignment. You can start to text them right now if you want. I'll just save it for tomorrow morning. It's that simple. All right. Hey, stay cool today. Make sure the kiddos and the pets and the furry friends too, they stay cool. All right. Going to be another scorcher out there. Be careful with the air quality as well. So have a good rest of your day. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, same place, same time from the TDS Sports Talk Studios at 6 a.m. We'll talk to you then.